We are limping to the end, my friends. So we are going to head into the movies. Why don't we start with Spider-Man: No Way Home because that's the one that we've all been looking forward to. And Michael is going to take us away. So take us away, Michael.
Spider-Man. Oh, that George was raising his hand. You didn't want to talk. You're not allowed to talk. Anyway, Spider-Man: No Way Home. Am I the only one that gets the names confused in their heads?
No, I always call this the other one.
Yeah, I'm always like, wait, Far
From Home. Yeah.
Homecoming, No Way Home. Anyway,
what gimmick are they going to use for the new trilogy?
I know. I'm trying to think. What's the next main name? Anyway, this movie is following the events of the second movie, where J. Jonah Jameson gives everyone's identity or Spider-Man's identity to everyone, and he is Peter Parker, so he has to deal with everyone in the world knowing he's Peter Parker, trying to get in college, it's failing, blah blah blah. So he gets the bright idea. Hey, I know a guy who can deal with time, and he's like, hey, Doc, Mr. Steven. He's like, can I, erase everyone's mind? Then he has that whole conundrum of, oh wait, this person knows, which we all saw in the trailers. Screws up the spell. Spell goes crazy, lets in a bunch of bad guys. But what we didn't see in the trailer, spoilers everything we talk about, the spell wasn't completed at all. Like, I thought, the spell was going to be completed, and then that was going to rip everything apart. But he contained the spell in this weird box. And a handful of villains from the old Spidey movies, which we some love, some don't like, who knows, come in, like Lizard Man, which for
the lizard?
Yeah, the lizard. He for the longest, like until he was actually showed If in Rise, I just didn't sound like him the whole time. I was like, is this actually him? I don't know why.
You're crazy.
Well, they do. I don't know, because they do use stock footage for his transformation back into a human. So I don't know if it's his voice, if they actually got his voice for it.
I felt like his voice was a lot. It sounded high to me. I don't know. Anyway, so we got classic villains like him, Electro, Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Sandman. Is that it? I think so. Anyway, so the movie progresses to where they basically, Doctor Strange tells them, hey, you need to get all these people back here, and we got to push this button on the box so we can send them all back to their times, which happens super quick. It's like, oh yeah, catch that man, boom, 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 bring them all back. And then they had Tony, I called him Tony. Tom Holland, Spider-Man. His Peter, his aunt puts the idea in his head, hey, we can help these people. It kind of, one of my favorite parts about this movie is the fact of them delving into Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin and his psyche and the struggle with this dual personality thing. And so she's like, we can help this guy because he's not trying to hurt anybody, even though he throws a bomb on the bridge. But before, he wasn't trying to hurt anybody. And so she puts the idea of what's the right thing to do in Peter's head. So it's all her fault that the world goes crazy. And
whoa.
But so he has to decide whether he wants to send them all back and make his life easier or try and help these villains before they all die, basically, because they're all going back to literally die in their timelines. And so he goes back, takes the box from Doctor Strange, and then they try and solve everyone's cures and everything, which of course turns badly. And then we start getting other visitors, which everyone wanted, as everyone knows. So the big ending's coming, and they have to go fight everyone and get our boys Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire back, which was pretty dope. We'll get to discussing how they come back, I guess, eventually. But I was a little let down that Tobey came in the exact way that Andrew did. I wanted, we talked about that afterwards. It was kind of like I wanted him kind of come in at a moment rather than, oh, hey, I'm gonna come in just like that guy did. Can I walk through this whole thing? Okay, cool. But it was still great though. They their dynamic and chemistry was so good throughout the whole thing. One of my favorite parts when they're all talking, Tobey kind of stops and he's like, wait, you guys have to it doesn't come out of your hands? Or they kind of just freak out gross. And they're does it come out of anywhere else? But that was dope. Anyway, so wrapping up the story, they have to fight cure all the villains anyway at the end. End up getting all of them. Boom, boom, pow, pow, cure. Send them all back. Tobey gets stabbed. They break the box, so they can't do that. Doctor Strange makes a new spell that makes everyone forget Peter Parker's existence rather than just the people who he wanted to remember. So they don't remember anymore either. And there's a bunch of stuff. I don't know about all the stuff in the clouds. There's a bunch of shapes that people are freaking out about. I don't know anything about that. So
Rhino.
Yeah, Rhino. But people are freaking out about other weird ones. But so anyways, comes to the end where Peter tells Zendaya, what's her name's not Mary Jane. What's her name?
Michelle Jones.
Michelle Jones. Thank you. I think that's right. And he's like, I'll find you. I'll tell you. She's like, you better do it. You better, I'll remember you, whatever. Because they're like freaking out about the whole ending or whatever. Anyway, so he goes back and it has actually a really, really well done scene, I think, where he goes back to her coffee shop and has that moment of seeing her okay. Her and Ned are getting to college. Ned's sitting there with her. And there was kind of a moment I feel like everyone in the theater were like, whoa, are they together? But that didn't happen.
Yeah,
he walks in, they're like,
I thought that
oh,
too, yeah.
hey, honey, where's the kid?
Yeah.
But
Oh my god.
yeah, they move
I'm
fast.
so
They're
glad
right out
I'm
of high
not with
school.
anybody else. You are perfect for me.
So yeah, so Peter sees that, in his eyes, she's better off without him and walks away.
It doesn't hurt anymore.
And it doesn't hurt him. Very sad.
But
But
then he says, like, I'll see you
Yeah,
around.
yeah.
So,
he
Spider-Man.
leaves the
He's
room.
gonna-
He didn't
he's gonna
say
save her.
Spider-Man. That's
gonna
his
save her.
neighborhood.
He
Yeah.
didn't shut the door completely, so...
We
But she's
know,
not at MIT. She won't be there.
we know if there's a
Mm.
robbery at a bank somewhere, but if she trips and falls, he's gonna go for her, not the robbery. You know? He'll see her again. She's his main girl, man.
He needs
Anyway,
donuts. He's in college.
true.
It's true.
He's going to MIT. She won't be there.
Is he going though?
Yes.
Okay.
Her and Ned are shacking up.
Oh my god.
He's like, I'll kill you.
Oh
Like,
man.
who are you?
Just like super mean to him now.
He's like Flash was to him.
Yeah.
He's just totally being a jerk.
That moment was hilarious, by the way.
Oh, with
when
him like
when
becoming
Flash realizes that he's Spider-Man or whatever.
that was.
Oh,
I forgot that because I've only seen the movies once each in theaters, so I need to rewatch the Spider movies. But I totally forgot that was Flash or supposed to be Flash, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Who's this guy again?"
oh, yeah.
Yeah, because
He's
he
an
was like
intellectual boy.
he was all like super like into Spider-Man, but hated Peter. That was what was funny
I
about the
forgot about
movies.
that. God, Lord, it's been so long. But anyway, yeah, my thoughts on the movie. I feel like this exceeded my expectations. I kind of went in like Ben kept asking me, "You excited?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, it'll be fun," and kind of like guess what's coming. But I just feel like they hit everything so well. Like my favorite moment I think in the movie period is whenever Andrew saves MJ, and it's just like what it's such a because I feel like that was easily the most impactful, well, obviously, but for his story, like that's the thing I remember the most about those movies is like that moment of just like dread and awfulness, and then like this kind of redemption of him being able to save her just felt so good to me. But I don't know, I feel like the dynamic and everything was great. The cameo of
Daredevil?
yeah, I'm trying to forget it. Charlie
Oh,
Cox. Charlie
yeah,
Cox.
Cox.
Yeah. That
Charlie
dope.
Cox.
opened up so many doors that I'm so excited about. And then with Hawkeye's spoiler villain is also really cool, like what they can do there. But I'm super excited. But this movie was great. I don't really know what to say about it, so you guys go ahead. We'll throw it to I don't know. Jared, go ahead. You're muted.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think I'm with Michael. Although I was very hyped for this movie, but it kind of exceeded what I wanted. Now that Michael mentions the whole thing about Tobey Maguire coming in, like at the same scene, same way as Andrew Garfield, I wish that he did come in a different way. That would have been cool.
Like if he just like knocked on the door and he was there, that would have been cool.
Because he'd been there the whole time. I kind of wanted like a different entrance for him, but
I kind of like that his is more low key than Andrew because Andrew's like hopping. Is like I'm here.
Well, I just like how Toby's like entrance was very much like his Peter Parker, just like
yeah, he's like,
hi.
okay. Because
He's like, super awkward, like, oh,
points at. He's like,
it's
can I
gone.
come through this? He's like, there's
Can I
a
come through?
portal there. Sorry.
Gone.
What was
Yeah,
weird
I
in
love
my
that.
theater was that when Andrew came in, everyone was like, yeah, yeah, clap, clap."
Yeah.
And then when Toby came in, it was silent. I was like, what?
Really?
That's funny.
They're probably like,
There's-
who is that guy?
I was like, there was like 2 or 3 claps, but then I was like, what?
Oh,
Um,
I stood up and cheered. I was like, ah.
Well, maybe that goes to show that they just didn't reveal him right.
Yeah.
He was just so. Anyway, I'll
Or
get
that
to my opinion
everybody's
later,
too young.
but- Yeah. Jared's
They're like-
theater was full of like 15-year-olds.
Who's the
Um,
old guy?
But yeah, this this kind of did the thing like Spider-Verse where they all like comfort the new Spider-Man because they just went through their loss. So it didn't emotionally impact me as much as I thought it would, because it was kind of just like that scene. But it was still a really good scene. Everyone's all tearing up, and you hear like a little more from Andrew about how like he didn't pull his punches after a while. So he's probably killed someone. He's probably knocked some heads off.
He's got darkness in those eyes.
He went back to that gas station and he's like, "Give me my chocolate milk," and he just punched that guy's head off. But no, this was just a bunch of Spider-Man fun. Like when they all swing in from the last fight and they're all
Yeah.
like using each other to swing
Yeah.
in. I was like, man, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it was
And then
dope.
They all land in their poses. That's
I
pretty
come
cool.
from a family of 3 brothers, so and then when they're like, I've never had brothers before, so I was like, oh, kind of hit me. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then of course, like the humor hit really well in this movie. One of my favorite jokes is he's like, I don't want to brag, but I was in the Gingers, and he's like, that's awesome. What is that, like a band? He's like, no.
That part
And then
was
eventually
amazing.
Toby's like, how is this helping?
That part was great.
But I honestly have to say, like, the best scene for me was that last donut shop scene when he's like figuring out that they are probably better without me, and then he's just like accepts that and then walks off. I was like, man, that's such a good scene. But no, and then man, there's some good fighting with like him and Goblin. Like they were brutal to each other.
Dude.
He like does a
Did you
German
know that-
suplex through like 50 floors. I was like,
Yeah.
whoa!
Did you know that was actually Willem Dafoe that
Yeah.
did his own stunts?
I wouldn't doubt it.
That
Yeah,
is crazy. Like, dude is like almost 70. Like,
I remember being in theater and there was one scene where I was like, I think that was him. And then I saw a post later about how that he said he wouldn't do the movie if they wouldn't let him do his stunts. And I was like, what the heck?
yeah, that's pretty impressive because those were not like
because he's like
lightweight
he had the
scenes.
most action. I feel
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
But like, man,
Yeah,
just that
German
suplex through the
suplex.
floors, man. I was just like, man, that's awesome. But no, I love this movie. This is great. I'll probably chime in with stuff when I remember it.
I do want to jump off
Um,
that scene you're talking about before you hand it off. Just about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just like the tone they took, I freaking loved that whole tone. Whenever they hit that kind of meeting, they're kind of figuring things out, and then Tony hits that spider sense, and he's like,
You
you're
just said
Peter.
Tony.
Tony.
You Tony again.
Why am I calling him Tony? That doesn't make
You
any
love
sense.
Iron Man that much?
I
Tony.
don't know. I equate Tom Holland with Tony so much. I guess I'm just saying Tony. Anyway, when Tom Holland gets his spider sense going on, he's like, there's something wrong right now. And like you think, oh, J. Jonah's on his way and everything, something's going wrong, but then he like webs Willem Dafoe's hand and you're like, oh shoot, and he starts going all crazy and it turns basically into a horror movie. Oh, I loved every bit about this whole scene. It was so freaking cool. I loved what they did with this character.
Shout out to an actor, Hannibal Buress, with his scene when he's like, "Oh no, you're a murderer." When he's like talking to the principal, the science teacher,
Oh, yeah.
and the coach.
Like,
Yeah.
you suck. I don't like you.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, Mysterio was right.
Mysterio was right.
I love that. That was good.
I'm gonna pass it off. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Alex.
All right, now I'm going to jump on that scene that Michael's talking about.
No.
What was cool about that scene is that they played it way longer than I expected. It was like a Spidey sense that was just like far away,
Yeah.
far from home, you might say, and that it just was like just slightly tingling. It was like something's wrong because it wasn't just like the Tobey Maguire movies where it was like and then he has a dodge or something. It was just, and they played it way longer than I expected. I was like, man, what is happening right now? Anyway, who are you passing it to?
I'm gonna pass it off to Joe.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me get the hot take out of the way real fast. Spider-Man 2 still the best Spider-Man movie.
Hell yeah.
Like the Tobey Maguire one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not Andrew Garfield's or
No.
Tom Holland's. But this movie was awesome. This is nostalgia done right, I think. Because we'll talk about the next movie, which is probably nostalgia not done that right. But this movie had like everything you wanted, like you guys were saying. Like the thing that kind of makes me sad is like, what if we lived in a world where we didn't get so much leaks and so much like news? It's the rumors offline. Because how much greater would that be if we could have seen this movie just like totally without expecting anything?
Yeah.
But but we do live in that world, so it's still, even though we knew it was coming, it was great. I love the way Andrew came into the scene because he was just like so happy after we had like this real dark scene, but we get his Spider-Man. Who Andrew was always very great at the Spider-Man side of the character, and I think that comes in right away when he jumps into the scene and everything, he has like a good interaction between him and the younger characters, Ned and MJ.
Yeah.
And I like
Just
how
how
she's
like
like,
they double down on like he knows he's not the best Spider-Man, but he's just like
Well, I
because he
also I
hasn't
like
fought an
the
alien.
well, I also like the when MJ throws the bread at him. It's like seeing if you have the tingle. I have the tingles, just not for bread.
Not for prey.
Yeah.
But even before like the Spider-Man show up, the villains I thought was really cool. Like Doctor Octopus, the fight scene with him on the bridge, I thought was really well done.
Yeah.
And then you gotta love like the music that they played back from the older movies whenever like a villain shows up, like Doctor Octopus, and the music
Danny
just
Elfman score. Awesome.
yeah. Even like Electro, they get a little bit of that dubstep in there when he shows up.
Oh, I didn't even notice any of that. I need to watch it again.
Yeah, the music, that's like one of the things that was really getting to me in the movie theaters was just like when they play, because they play like each different Spider-Man's music at the ending. It is just really cool. I love that stuff. So before, like I say, before the Spider-Man show up, I don't, the villain stuff goes like really fast. Like he defeats the villains like pretty easily. Like
Yeah.
it's like
I do want to say though that fight scene with Electro in the woods was
Mhm.
so.
Oh, that was awesome.
I have a weird like. I don't know why I like the Sandman character so much, but I really do, and I like when he's a good guy. So when he's helping him right there in that fight, I was like, "This is so cool." But anyway,
Because he's a good character. Like,
he's a good character.
like
But
because
yeah, I do like how they brought that over from the movie.
Yeah.
Like right away, like he was good right away. He was like really looking to be a villain when he got there. And then Doctor Octopus, you get that too with him. He's at that point with the machine. Where's my machine? And stuff like that. So he's still that much villain. That villain is, and then when they shoot him or they fix his neural link, then he's like the Otto that we know at the beginning of Spider-Man 2 is like very sweet to Peter and stuff like that. So a lot of stuff in this movie pays off from the other movies, which is really cool. Like we've already talked about, like how Andrew gets to save MJ because when he's like tearing up and she's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah."
I love
just
that.
give me 1 second.
And then Toby plays his Spider-Man very much like an older Spider-Man, like he's been around and he's seen like everything, so he's not like surprised. But you can tell he's still going through stuff, even though we kind of think, because like Spider-Man 3 is on a very like somber note, even though they get back together, but he's just kind of messed up at the end of that one. And even on this one, he tells Dr. Octopus that he's still trying to do better every day and stuff like that. And then he mentions to Andrew that his love life's still complicated, even though that they're together. So it's not like all perfect for him because you can't have Peter just like super happy all the time. Peter Parker is supposed to have like an awful life, and that's but it's super cool. Like Jared was saying, the happy parts of like the Peter's meeting and like especially the end when he says goodbye to them and he's just like thank you. I thought that was super cool, and it kind of like hits more than like the sad part with Aunt May passing away. Which I don't know why that didn't hit as hard, but maybe it's just because we were kind of expecting it. I guess someone in Peter's life has to pass away for him to get better or something.
I wasn't okay. I should have been, but I didn't even expect it because I guess I was so like wrapped up in expecting Andrew and Toby that I didn't even consider Aunt May dying on this one, even though like Spider-Man have to lose somebody.
Yeah.
Like but that just came out of nowhere for me.
Yeah,
Like
I
that
didn't expect
glider.
it till the scene.
I was sad
So-
for Happy, man.
Yeah.
yeah.
I know.
It's so sad.
Yeah. What else?
You guys like Donkey Kong Country?
And then finally, Green Goblin is just so awesome in this movie, just because he gets to be a villain. Like as soon as he's in there, you know that he's kind of like pulling strings and stuff like that. And he's like more villainous in this movie than he was in like the other.
Way more.
Yeah. So that's why I was kind of sad at the end that they kind of cured him. Of all the characters that they cured, I kind of wish that his like didn't get cured and maybe he like stayed around in the MCU. But
It's kind of like making
Um,
Joker sane. Like,
yeah, yeah. I think there's gotta be like one villain that's at least not curable. I think, but so I don't know. Maybe that could have been Green Goblin, but we'll see. We'll see what happens from there. Yeah, so I like the movie. It's not a perfect movie. I think before the Spider-Man get there, it kind of gets slower, and it's kind of like I said, the villains get defeated pretty easily. The Doctor Strange stuff is kind of weird. It's not weird, but it's just like that he's so powerful that he can't really be around. So we gotta like kind of trap him. It's kind of like when writers talk about writing Superman. You got to kind of like make Superman go away so that you can have a threat that he can't fix right away. So I think that's what they do with Doctor Strange. But I do kind of like the Spider-Man and Strange dynamic between those two characters. It's because it's not like totally like Tony was with Peter, because Tony was very up forward with loving Peter. Strange is more like reserved and
Yeah.
like the end where he says like all your friends
Yeah.
and we will forget about you and stuff like that. So
I do need to shout
he
out really
comes
fast
along.
the music whenever they're fighting in the Inception world.
Oh.
That
Oh,
music
yeah.
was
The other
so
dimension.
cool. I was like, yes, it's like this operatic, just like extremely epic sounding. It was so cool. I love that bit.
I do like the thing about what's cooler than magic and just math.
That was so funny.
yeah.
Okay,
I
so
knew- I knew
oh,
Green
good.
Goblin was pulling strings when he kept taking pastries from that box and stashing them in his jacket.
Evil.
So let's throw it over to Thomas.
yay. I love Spider-Man 2, like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 2. That's probably like one of my favorite comic book movies ever. Because like I God, that's such a good movie. Like I think that movie is almost perfect. But and I think Joseph put it great, is that this was nostalgic, like done so well. Because like every beat just hit everything that I wanted in this. It's like one of those like movies where, or like the memes, like, oh yeah, guess who's gonna be in Spider-Man this time? Because they can't possibly live up to the hype, and this one actually lived up to the hype. Everything that we wanted inside of this Spider-Man movie was in the Spider-Man movie. Like the fact that they got Charlie Cox back, which is like, I love Daredevil, that TV show, so much. Charlie Cox did such a good job on that show, and the fact that we have him back now as Daredevil,
Him catching the
such,
brick was so good.
him catching the brick, that was awesome. He's like, "How'd you do that?" I'm a
Yeah,
very
good.
Like, and his like introduction was so awesome, where it's
Yeah.
just like his cane, and as
Yeah.
soon as I saw that, I was like,
Yeah, everybody
yes!
freaked out. Everybody freaked out in the audience when that happened too. Like, and part of that too was going to the theater and like watching this, because everybody's reaction was like,
Yeah.
Everybody's going crazy.
because
And we
especially when,
saw it twice. And the second time, there's still a lot of
Really?
people that were like,
Nice.
yeah,
yeah.
well, just like especially the Toby and the Andrew introduction part. Like, I know that they probably should have like spaced it apart, but for time constraints, I'm glad we got all of them, the Spider-Man, together when they did, because they had like basically the last third of the movie to be together. And I love the villains in this because I love Doc Ock. Alfred Molina was amazing in this. Like he's a great actor anyway, and he was just so good in this. him and Willem Dafoe, I think, are probably the best Spider-Man villains like out there. Like they're just so good. I loved I love Sandman because I that's what's really frustrating about Spider-Man 3 is that it was such a cluster crap because of what Sony was pushing on Sam Raimi to do. Because he didn't want to do
He didn't want to do Venom, right?
he didn't want to do Venom at all. He just wanted to do Sandman.
Yeah.
And he planned to do Venom in the fourth one to have that one be like the really dark one. Like this would be like him and MJ kind of breaking up, and then the fourth one would be super dark. And they just kind of messed it up. And that's also why Sandman is such a well-developed character in the third one, and Venom is just like not like at all.
Venom is Topher Grace.
And he's also Topher. We
I
also
love-
have
I
that.
like Topher Grace. What can I say?
We don't know. What can you say? But I mean, I even love Thomas Hayden Church. He did such a good job. And the Spider-Man 3 Sandman scene of him like emerging, that is that is an amazing scene.
That's cool.
But and you got all of that back in these characters, and I felt like these were the same, even though they are the same characters. It's not like them just tacking it on. I felt like these were actually the characters coming back. I even like Electro and Lizard coming back. That was kind of cool, and they did a good job, I think.
Yeah, they did a great job.
But man, just having the three Spider-Men together was the best parts of the movie. One is that they actually kind of did the version of the meme of the Peter, and they all pointed at each other.
Yeah,
That was like Peter. It's like we're all called Peter. Peter Parker, still the same person, man. Peter, the person with the computer. Oh yeah, that's me.
I like them labeling it during the fight, like Peter 1. Wait, who's Peter 1? Peter 2.
I was Peter too.
Who's on first?
Well, and one of my favorite parts of this movie is when like Tobey Maguire's like standing there. He's like, my back.
Yeah.
It's over. Because in Spider-Man
So
2, that is one of the I remember almost passing out because I was laughing so hard in the theater when that happens.
Back.
Wait,
My
what?
back. My
what
back.
happens?
He
When he
falls.
falls and he breaks
in
his,
Spider-Man
hurts his
2,
back.
He has that
Oh, yeah.
web block basically. He can't use his powers, and he just does that. Oh, and they did that practically, by the way. That fall, which I think is insane. It's just like my back.
I
the fact-
I remembered that scene of him falling, but I remembered it being dramatic because but I forgot about the joke afterwards.
Yeah, he just
Yeah.
wanders.
Anyway,
and,
sorry.
then the joke goes deeper because he actually had back problems and he wasn't going to continue
Yeah.
to be
Back
Spider-Man.
From hanging upside down, yeah.
And so I just love that part. And I mean, both of them, all of them together are just so good because it's like just you create your own biowebbing. That's so awesome. It's like, does it come out of anywhere else? Like, no. It's like we can't do that. We're just curious. 'Cause, you know, we
I did like the whole scene where they're all being like nerds at their computer stations and everything. It was just
Yeah.
cool to see them all
Yeah.
doing things, different things.
I did like that they actually like address the fact that these guys are like not cool people. Like they are geeks. Like these guys are, because I mean, and that's the whole thing about that. Tom Holland Spider-Man always tries to be cool because of Tony, and then he sees his other counterparts. It's like these guys are as big as nerds as I am. Awesome! I don't have to pretend anymore. I can be a nerd. And then I love that Andrew like put on the coat immediately. It's like, all right, I'm a nerd. It's just man, this was such a good movie, and like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man will always be my favorite. I know there's like a ton of complaints about him not being as quick, I guess, as Andrew or Tom, but that was like my Spider-Man, and that's just awesome to have that back. And the fact that he came in as like his Peter Parker, like just being very, very awkward, like, hello. It's just like, I love that. I loved every like part of their interactions, and the fact that I think we even had kind of a Spider Pig reference with what do you call it?
Oh god,
Andrew
him crawling
Garfield,
on the
like
ceiling?
on the crawling ceiling. He looked like Spider Pig. I was just like, because I saw this with my brother. I'm like, is it Spider Pig? He's like, it is. That's how we did it. Yeah, this movie was just so good. Like I was so happy because they had everything. They got everything, and I can't believe they got everything. which is it was a tall order to ask. I can't imagine the planning that had to go into this because you had to get 3 of these huge actors to come back to do this one role, and yeah, and they got everybody back. They got everybody except for Topher Grace, which I was like,
Yeah.
should there be one more? But I'm
Well,
not
it's kinda
sad
cool.
that he's not there.
That's the one thing. You wish they could have done the Sinister Six. It would have been so awesome.
I know.
They just couldn't find that one villain that could have went with them.
Just bring
Because we wouldn't
Vulture
want
back.
Venom in there. We would.
No,
It
well, I
wouldn't
mean
work.
it's supposed to be Rhino, but
Well, but this
I
please
love-
don't
Yeah,
think it's like
Rhino-
different
What's that
people
guy's
all
name?
the time,
Tony
right?
something. Who
Tony.
played Rhino?
Oh, Rhino?
Oh,
Uh,
Paul Giamatti.
Yeah.
Paul. Why is Tony everyone to me right now?
Tony
What
is-
is wrong
I
with
don't know.
you?
Who's Tony, Michael?
I don't know.
I guess-
Michael's like, I'm done talking about this movie. I'm gonna throw it to Tony.
Because you
I
could
mean, I like
have
Paul
had
Giamatti.
Venom, and then you could have had one of the Harrys, I guess, but then that would have been too many goblins. And
Just
Just
bring
like-
back Vulture. You should've done
uh,
that.
yeah, you could have thrown one of Tom Holland's.
Yeah, because
guess
they
so
had
they-
to.
That is true.
Yeah.
Like we haven't really, he hasn't really come back yet because
Oh
he's
wait,
supposed to be in Morpheus, right?
Yeah, which who knows how he got over there, but
Yeah, I don't know. But this movie was great. I loved everything about this movie. The only thing I had a complaint about was, so Doctor Strange is supposed to be erasing Peter Parker from existence or memory of Peter Parker, right?
yeah.
Is that for all the universes? Because that means that Toby and Andrews are also gone.
I don't think so. I think it's just ours.
Yeah, I assume.
Okay.
That seems
But
more
it's still
difficult.
it's very weird if you think about it, because like, how did this happen? You know, where did she get hurt on the head? How did she remember that? You know, why were you there?
Yeah.
I guess they just like block every
Oh.
Peter
I
Parker
I think they
with
just kind of imagine
Spider-Man
it
or
as
something.
Spider-Man.
Yeah,
He's just Spider-Man now.
because
But,
it was
yeah, it's
weird at the gravesite too, because he's like, how did you
Yeah.
know
Through Spider-Man.
Aunt May through Spider-Man? Why would she know?
Yeah, that's what Alex was like. Alex was like, huh?
yeah, that made no sense to me.
It
I was
didn't
like,
make
how
any
would he have
sense.
met her? It makes no sense.
Yep. But even
And they
like
do-
the
They, oh, go ahead.
go, go
They
for it,
do
go for it.
kind of set up another villain that we haven't seen yet, because Aunt May works for Nest, which is like the organization that Mr. Negative runs. If you like
Yeah.
play the
Oh,
PlayStation
I didn't
4
catch that.
game, yeah.
Nice.
So
She died in that too.
yeah,
Spoilers.
jeez, stop killing her.
Let her be,
but-
man.
But even like the way they said goodbye was just so like awesome. It was great. It was like, you know, they had the great hug, and then like it's just Toby and Andrew standing there, and Toby's like, "You're in so much pain, aren't you?" Yes.
That's one thing I don't really think I cared for was him getting stabbed.
Yeah,
Didn't
I agree.
have a purpose really at all.
I thought he was
Unless
gonna
he-
die.
like, yeah, if you were gonna kill him off, then yeah, maybe
why
that
stab
would
him
have
if he's not gonna
been
die?
something.
And I would have been very upset if he had died, honestly, because he had the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Oh, I
like-
would have. I would have like raged.
like if Andrew had died, it was only one line that I would have been upset because he was like we're still working on our relationship, we're getting it back together, and then he dies. Like, what's the point in that? But-
yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't really care for the stabbing at all. But
You
Well, I also
just
did
said
like I've been stabbed
Andrew.
before.
no, I'm saying if Andrew died, then I'd be like, at least he doesn't have anyone that's waiting for him.
Oh yeah.
Sorry,
At least
Andrew.
he's alone.
At least you're alone.
He's amazing, okay?
Oh, that part was great. I
That
love
was
That
great.
was
You're amazing, by the way.
It's like, you guys are so much better than I am. No.
I really needed to hear that. Like, I want you to hear you say it. Like all this negativity, man. Come
Great.
on.
Yeah. That was great breaking
Love
of the fourth wall.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was such good. All right, Alex, take us out. No, take us out. Finish it.
Finish it. Finish it. That was great. Real quick, I will say that I am kind of one of those Toby haters in a way, only that I think he's the worst. I think that he's awesome.
That is hate.
I
think-
don't. It's just I just did the worst thing I've ever seen in my
The
life.
worst
that's
thing
all.
out of the three. The worst thing.
Not,
the worst
not,
out of
to,
the
not
three.
to like be offensive, but I hate you.
There's no way. He's the best Peter.
Oh my. Okay, hold the phone. Because when Thomas was talking about how that people didn't like how that Toby wasn't quick as quick as
Yeah,
Andrew
quick
and stuff.
and stuff. Yeah.
I think that his Spider-Man's great. I think that his like
Really?
in 2 when he's like giving Doc Ock crap, like it's funny and it's very Spider-Man.
Like a monkey.
I think his
One
Peter.
of my favorite lines
Peter
as
sucks.
Spider-Man. One of my favorite lines as Spider-Man is not very PC anymore, but it's from number 1.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
where'd you get that outfit?
Husband
Did your
make it
husband
for you?
make it for you?
Hey, it could be
Forgot
PC if it
about
was a genuine question.
True.
And he answered like, "Yeah, he did make it," and then he'd be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, okay, that's
Good
nice.
for you.
That's
You
The
should
it."
fact
start a
that
business.
He was fighting Macho Man Randy Savage. How awesome was that scene?
Oh man.
Anyway,
I forgot about
I
that
don't think
line.
I just think that Tobey Maguire's Peter is like kind of weak. He's just super awkward and not.
That's
anyway,
how he's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be
No.
like that, though.
no, it's like
Andrews is the worst, I think.
No.
Andrews is the worst Peter.
no, God, no.
Because he
Okay.
looks like he
He's so
should be in like a
confident.
CW. Yeah, he should be like in
Yeah.
a CW soap or something.
No, because Andrew's like nerdy, smart, and awkward, and he's trying not to be. Toby is like serial killer awkward. It's not like nerdy awkward. It's like he catches all the food, and then she's like, "Your eyes," and he's like, "I'm gonna kill you." That's the look on his face. I do love Toby, and it really did like kind of like because it's kind of like among our friends. I think that how much everyone loves Toby makes me seem like I hate him more because I'm like, oh, Toby, gosh, but I do love Toby. And it made me definitely want to rewatch the
I
movies.
think you're
which-
the psychopath.
Wouldn't it be crazy though? This movie would have been absolutely crazy. Is if we go back and watch those movies, and at the end, the villains are good, and they don't die, and I'll be like, man, well
They-
done.
They just disappear and then come back, and it's just this weird, like, edited version of them.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No,
man.
no, there's no edits. It was always that way. That would be crazy. Okay, that was my little joke. I'm gonna pull up my notes. Okay. So I think this movie is fantastic. It's amazing. However,
What a
I'm
hater.
probably gonna be the least positive about it, even though I did love it. I absolutely loved it. But I do have problems with this movie that make me wonder, like, in the further on we go from it, it could go either way. I could like it more, I could like it less. But the thing that just I can't get it out of my head is that this movie just really feels like story wrapped around fan service, which the fan service was great. I'm totally with you guys. Like everything that they did, I was like, this is awesome. I love the interactions between them. I love it all. So I think that my expectations were pretty high. I remember watching the trailer and I was like, this movie looks, no pun intended, amazing. And then I watch it and it was, but it feels, I just can't get that out of my head where it's just like this, okay. So I should say that the story that they wrapped around the fan service, they did a great job with, but it does feel like they were like, how do we get Toby back? How do we get Andrew back? All right, cool. Let's wrap this story around that. And that does, I feel like, kind of bug me.
I could see that. I could totally see that. Like, if you took the fan service out of it, it'd be kind of like a pretty boring movie. Like,
yeah, it's like, okay. And-
Spider-Man losing his aunt again.
Yeah. Which I do think that was that scene actually hit me pretty hard. Maybe it's because I didn't see it coming till it was pretty much there. But yeah. Besides that, I mean, granted, it's hard to have a story after you take
Yeah.
out all the fan service. Which again, because the story is good, but it just that there's that little thing, that little voice that bugs me. So we'll see over time whether that gets better or worse in my mind. So I did have it while you guys were talking. I was writing some notes down, and I have a question because I don't think they answered it in the movie. I don't know if you guys know, but there's that scene where Tony puts him out of his body, and then he comes back, and Tony.
Oh.
I just said Tony.
Yeah.
What is wrong with my God? Maybe we are sick, Michael.
Sick in the head.
Yeah. Anyway, Steven, when Strange knocks him out, and then he comes back and he's like, how did you do that? Did they answer that?
No.
That's
No.
so cool. I love that. I love mystery like that. Oh, I can't wait if they ever answer
Yeah,
that.
that is kind of cool because he can like do stuff outside his body.
Because if you're surprising Strange, that's crazy.
That's
So,
strange.
Well,
That's strange. Yeah, I know.
in the comic books, let me get a little nerdy here.
Please do.
One of the most powerful, one of the biggest powers is his spider sense. So him doing that is like they needed that to defeat Thanos in like the Infinity War comic books. So that's why even Strange is like, what the hell?
But like, it was his spider sense that was able for him to get back into his body.
Oh, back into it, not just like avoiding
Or
it.
and that too.
Mostly avoiding it.
Yeah.
Just avoiding. I don't know how he got back into his body.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, maybe it's his mutant gene.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe
that-
Strange's
they actually
magic has
addressed
a
that.
weakness to spiders, but
Well, they actually addressed that he actually got bit by a spider this time too. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, they completely
Yeah.
like ignored all the origin out of this and
Yeah.
just like put him in. And it's almost like they didn't complete the origin too, which is kind of interesting about the with great power comes great responsibility part.
yeah.
I also really liked that scene between all three of them
Oh,
because then Andrew and then Toby complete the line.
When we're done, we have to have a discussion about Uncle Ben. So after Alex is
yeah.
done.
But
Yeah.
you talking about that, like Toby's face, that was so
I
good.
know.
Yeah.
Whenever it was like surprise, where he was like, "Oh my god!" Like, oh, I'm getting chills right now just talking about that. So yeah, I had the Spidey gets out of spirit mode is how I put it. And then yeah, Strange and Spidey fight. Michael kind of touched on it, but I think that is, I mean, easily the best fight in the whole movie. Like, I actually think the last fight is kind of. No, we'll get to it, but man, I was just that whole sequence was just absolutely amazing. The music, the visuals, all of it, and that's what I feel like the trailer might have made me, because a lot of that was in the trailer, so I feel like that kind of made me expecting that throughout the rest of the movie, and but okay, so my next note is about Sandman. We lost Joe again. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
I think.
I keep
Yeah, I think-
freezing.
Yeah, I think he's back. So.
Okay.
So Sandman was great in Spider-Man 3.
Dang.
Sandman in this movie sucks.
Dang.
God, Sandman sucks so much. And I'll tell you why. Because, like, it was so cool at the beginning because he's like, oh, here's Spider-Man. I'm a good guy. So you know that he was pulled right out of the end of Spider-Man 3. Because that's whenever he likes Spidey. And then he's on his side. He's fighting with him. And then all of a sudden, Tom Holland takes off his mask or whatever happens. I can't remember. And it's not him. And then Sandman immediately flips. He's a bad guy. He's a bad guy again. I was like, that makes no sense.
I don't think he immediately flips then. It's when he teleports what's his name away and he's like, what would you do?
Electro. Yeah.
So
He
he's a little
teleports-
unsure because he teleported that dude
Right.
away that he died.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
didn't know what happened.
Sure, that is fair because maybe he's scared or whatever. But I feel like it doesn't fit his character from 3, he was a pretty thoughtful character. In this, it seems like he just flipped on a dime and he's like all against this Spidey, even though he had experience of going against a Spidey and he was wrong. And then, yeah, so he just fights and he's like totally ruthless. Even whenever he finds the Toby Spidey at the end of the movie, he still doesn't change, as far as I remember. And it's not until the very end of the movie again. I thought he sucked because I loved him in the Spider-Man 3. I was very annoyed at that. The entrances of them. So Andrew, when he entered, because again, Toby is my least favorite, but I always thought that Andrew got a bad rap, and I actually think that his movies get a bad rap. I think they're way better than people say they are. I'm not saying that the second one's great, but I think they're way better. And when he came on screen, man, because like people were cheering in our theater throughout the whole movie, clapping and all that jazz. But I don't usually join in. I'm like, oh, that's cute, but whatever. But when he joined in, I couldn't help it. I was like, woo, yeah, woo. And then the way he's introduced to is so fun because it's like they're like, oh, there he is, it's Peter, and then they're calling him, and he's kind of like, it's so brilliant. I think the way he's introduced is perfect because it's like he's like, oh, I'm Peter. That's weird. And then he runs through, and the closer he gets, they realize, oh, he's taller than he should be. Like his suit doesn't look the same. And anyway, in that whole interaction where they're like freaking out because he pulled off his mask, they're like, "You're not Peter!" All this stuff. That was great. But the But yeah, the problems I have with Toby is just like what Michael said, where it's just like, all right, we just had that awesome moment with Andrew, and then Toby, I thought it would have been awesome. I thought it would have been so awesome, and I totally thought they were going to do this, where it's like Ned says something like, maybe we can try again and get our Peter or another Peter or whatever he says, and then I thought it would have been really cool as if it didn't work or it was interrupted somehow. So it's like that little tease for the audience. They're like, oh crap, we almost had Toby. And then it would have been really cool as if like, because one thing I loved about Toby's entrance is that he already knew something was up and he was already looking for our Peter. I thought that was awesome. So I thought it'd been way cooler as if at the end of the movie, he just swings in his suit already and says like, where's Peter? And he's like, no, you're Peter, like he did in this movie. I thought that would have been way stronger. And then kind of going off of that, his suit is beloved by people. Like that's like probably people's favorite Spidey suit. And I do not understand what they were thinking where they didn't make a moment of him putting on his mask. They didn't make any moment out of it. Like you can kind of see while they're on the scaffolding that him and Andrew put on their masks, but from like really far away. I'm like, how dope would that have been if like, I don't know, you got a close up of him pulling on that mask. It just seemed like if you're going to do fan service, you should have done that. Let's see what else have I got.
I do love his suit.
His suit's great.
It's
very
pretty
iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like you guys were talking about them, even though it was very cheesy and unrealistic in a lot of ways because they were getting the crap beat out of them, and then they're like, "Hey, let's just work together," and then everything goes perfectly. but them swinging together and like helping each other swing, and God, I mean, seeing like those three Peters on screen, that's like, what did we do to deserve this kind of thing? It's like, it's just, I don't know, but yeah, the whole last fight scene was cool. I think that little things bother me about it though, where it's like they're going for again more fan service, but ignoring reality in a way where it's like they'll stop in the middle of a fight where they've been like, I mean, fighting tooth and nail, like they cannot get their bearings against these villains. But then they'll stop in the middle of a fight while Sandman's still swirling around to like have a chat. And it's like little things like that bother me. It's like, why? How are you able to have this chat? If you're going to have like a conversation, I thought it'd been really fun if they're like swinging around, still fighting and yelling it to each other or something.
Maybe the villains are having their own little
their own huddle.
Yeah.
But yeah. So again, as far as like all the fan service, I think that it was done really well. Like I love that kind of breaking the fourth wall of saying that he's amazing, and they're kind of like, building him up in this movie because everyone just craps on Andrew's Spidey and like even like them. I even wondered if even them having them numbered where it's like he's Spidey 3 or whatever, because I think Andrew was. It's like kind of like a play on how people actually rate them in real life.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were kind of like getting confused by it and arguing about it, that was kind of funny too. Let's see. This kind of goes back to me just being, this one isn't really a complaint. It's more of just an Alex complaint. It's not like a objective complaint. But like, it's kind of like in Shang-Chi where I didn't like the aesthetic of the last fight, where I feel like it would have been looked a lot better if it was like clear skies, just, personal opinion. But this one is worse. I think that the last fight, it looks great until the sun starts rising. And then the fight with Goblin and Spidey on that shield, everything just looks fake in this whole scene. Like this giant shield, which I'm not opposed to them having the fight there. That's fine. That's kind of cool. But like there's something about, and maybe I need to watch it again, but the sunrise where they're half lit on one side with warm light, which usually can be cool, and then you have cool shadows, but there's something about it. I don't like it. Like, I think the scene would have looked awesome if it was like raining and in the dark, kind of like the whole rest of the fight had been. But I need to watch again. But I hated the look of that end of that fight, and I don't really know why. But that being said, and even like Willem Dafoe's like acting after he changes to good feels a little awkward. Everything feels a little like you got to show too much where it's like he has this like silly, like confused look in his face. He's like, "What have I done?" It was like I don't know.
Don't tell
But
Harry.
yeah. Don't tell Harry.
Don't tell Harry.
Yeah. But man, yeah. As far as like highlight scenes, like that scene where they're all in the apartment or whatever, that was awesome. Because I don't really know if I expected. I kind of forgot about Goblin in that whole sequence because I think I totally fell for it. It's like they were focusing on Doc Ock like constantly, and even after they fixed his chip thing, I was like, is he faking? Like I wasn't totally sold on him being good again, and then they flip it, and it was the Spidey sense is when I realized it was Green Goblin. But yeah, that scene was really cool. Trying to think of anything else. Yeah, I need to watch it again, but at the moment, I think it because of the whole fan service thing, the story being wrapped around fan service that I was talking about, I feel like this could be my least favorite Tom Holland one. But I'll have to watch it again. Just because of that reason where it's like that bugs me. But I don't know if
That's
true.
why I say
really
like
enjoy it.
Spider-Man 2 is still the best Spider-Man movie, but I really like this movie too. But this is more like a Marvel movie than like a Spider-Man.
Right. Yeah, I need to watch Spider-Man 2 again too because I really like that as well. But I think Tom 1, I really love Tom 1, but I also I have a bias for him as Spidey because I feel like he's just pretty perfect as far as the comics I read. So yeah, that's pretty much all I got.